Bonjour, everyone. After months of toil and hardship, I have finished reading the Ice Planet Barbarians series, and I mean the core series. I have not finished Icehome. That's a problem for a different time. Okay, that's a separate issue. But I finished all the core books in the core series. Not the novellas. Fuck the novellas. But I finished all the main books, okay? Now I am going to rank them because that's just what I do. So as a quick disclaimer, obviously in ranking the books, I'm not trying to be like, fuck you, Ruby Dixon, like, I'm not trying to be hateful. Obviously, if I've read all the books, there's something that I like about them. There's something that kept me reading. I would consider myself a fan of Ice Planet Barbarians. This isn't meant to be like hateful. Also, you might have different opinions than me if you've also read all the Ice Planet Barbarians books. That's fine. We could agree to disagree. In ranking these, I am not including novellas. I did not read the novellas. The only novella that I read was Ice Planet Holiday, which I think is Claire and Aravin's story, because they don't get a main book because they fucking suck. Also has some fucking weird Georgie and Vectel story in it, I think, which is fine. I don't know, just, I read it, not including it. I thought reading all the novellas would be kind of too much trouble. So the tier list that I'm going to be using for my ranking system, I made myself by hand in Google Slides. I could have used the like tier list maker website, but I'm anti-authoritarian, and I said fuck you to the fuck off to the tier list maker website. And I made my own, so it might not be the most beautiful, but it is functional, and I'm very proud of it. The tiers that I have are Best Barbarians, which is pretty self-explanatory, I think. These are the books that I thought were the best. 5-star reads, exceptional, you know, like really good. Tier below that, Good Barbarians. They were pretty good. Maybe not as good as Best Barbarians, but still like solid reads. Like, I enjoyed them. Below that we have Okay Barbarians, which is like the books that were kind of you know, just fine. Nothing particularly exceptional in this category, nothing really good, and also nothing really bad, so just middle of the road barbarians, okay? Below that we have Not Very Good Barbarians. These are the barbarians that were boring, forgettable, uninteresting, stupid. They're not good. Below that, we have Worst Barbarians, and this is the tier for the books that I fucking hated. So with that in mind, let us hop right to it. Starting off strong with Ice Planet Barbarians, number 1, Ice Planet Barbarians. This is Georgie and Vectel's story. I think it is really Georgie's story more so than any of the other girls. Like, it is Georgie's story. She is the star of the show here. She is very typical for a Ruby Dixon heroine. I've not read many other Ruby Dixon books or series, but I started reading Bound to the Battle God the other day. It was fine. Very long. I was got like 200 pages in, and I was like, what is this fucking ending? It's like 600 pages long. But I was like, this main character is basically Georgie. Like, they're the same person. But Georgie is like funny, and like she has a lot of like witty comments that she makes. So she's interesting to read from the perspective of. This one also has like a lot of, like, it sets down a lot of plot and story and setting. So this one is really important, and it's also really fun. It's good. Okay, this one is good. I'm putting it in Best Barbarians. The next book in the series is Barbarian Alien, which is Rahash and Liz's story. Liz is another really strong heroine, and I do like her a lot. She's the funniest of all our female leads, and she's also very strong. Like, she's stubborn, she's strong-willed, she goes hunting. However, as a con to this, she sometimes makes decisions that really piss me off. So, you know, it's give and take. Rahash, probably not my favorite barbarian. Like, he's just like this kind of like dark, brooding archetype, which is fine, like, good for him. That's so chill, but like, he's not my personal favorite. Overall, I thought this one was pretty good. Not amazing. I'm putting it in Good Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian Lover, which is Ayako and Kira's story. This one I feel like was pretty forgettable. Like, I can remember the story, but I can't really, like, I don't know how it all happens. I don't remember a lot of the specifics. Like, it just kind of is lost on me. One thing that makes this one special is that Kira is actually infertile. She is one of the last few girls, I think, to like resonate to one of the barbarians, simply because she is infertile. So she like can't resonate, because to resonate you have to have a childbearing body. This book kind of exemplifies a lot of my problems with the series, where at the end of the book Kira does become fertile and she, you know, resonates to Aihako. And I get it. Like, this book series is basically just playing out Ruby Dixon's like colonizer breeding king fantasies, which is okay, but also just leave one girl. Just leave one girl who doesn't have to have children. Let her be like happy. Let her have a man and like be happy with her man without needing to have children, because to fulfill resonance you have to have a child, which is great. It's just amazing. It's not something I like to dwell on, because I think otherwise this is like it's supposed to be a fun series. I'm not supposed to think that deeply about it, but when you do start thinking deeply about it, it's like really weird and problematic. Anyway. Unrelated. Aihako doesn't really stick out to me. He is one of many barbarians that we'll see. He's like kind of the first who's like kind of the silly, goofy jokester. And we will see that over and over again. Overall, this one, not my favorite, but also not the worst. So I'm putting it in okay Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian Mine, which is Harlow and Rook's story. I really liked the first half of this one. Wasn't as in love with the second half. The first half is like a lot of survival shit, and then the second half is like Harlow almost dying because she has a brain tumor, but she's also really fucking pregnant. Rook is probably one of my favorite like barbarians. There's something, it might be like the Neanderthal in me, but it's like something about like a really primitive, strong man is like, who like doesn't understand, is like kind of hot, like, but he just loves you and he like protects you. I don't know. I also really like Harlow. Harlow is really interesting to me. She's like one of, again, a stronger heroine. She's like very techy, and she does like mechanical stuff, which is really cool and interesting. But at the end of the series, again, she is kind of like diminished to just being a little baby maker, staying at home, working on fucking machines when she's not pregnant or taking care of kids, which sucks. But I digress. This one, not my favorite story, not my favorite book, but definitely one of my favorite couples. They appear a lot in later books, and I really like them. So even if it wasn't my favorite book, I'm still putting this one in Best Barbarians, simply because I like Harlow and Rook together. Next in the series is Barbarian's Prize, which is Saluk and Tiffany's story. I wasn't a huge fan of this one. This one is also not very memorable, but I don't think this one is super plot heavy. It's like a lot of internal stuff. Basically, the like crux of this book is that Tiffany was raped in the past and she is like struggling with like PTSD over that. That's an interesting thing to look at, but also we have to remember that Ice Planet Barbarians is not a very serious series. So I feel like a lot of like a heavier topic like that wasn't necessarily handled with the right amount of sensitivity. Also, Saluk, who's supposed to be, you know, Tiffany's perfect blue barbarian, is the embodiment of like this friend-zoned guy who really just wants to have sex with you. Like, Tiffany is like, I'm not really feeling it. Like, and Saluk's like, okay, but in his mind, she's like, I'm gonna have sex with you, but I will hold off for now because I'm a good person. Which is like, I guess, I don't know, you have to read the book to really understand, but I just got like, I didn't like his vibe. I think his vibe was kind of icky. Anyway, still not the worst one. It was fine, so I'm putting this one in okay Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian's Mate, which is Haydn and Josie's story. I literally remember basically nothing about this book. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the plot was. All I know is that Haydn and Josie are, they kind of have an enemies to lovers situation going on, which is like chill. I think Josie is fine, Haydn is fine. They're both fine. They don't really stick out to me, but they're not awful. So this one is going squarely in okay Barbarians. Next up is Barbarian's Touch, which is Lila and Rokan's story. I like this one. I think it's pretty good. The biggest thing about this book is that Lila, our female lead, is deaf, which is pretty interesting representation, I think. And I think Rokan is really sweet because he really puts in the effort to learn ASL for her. She teaches him. I think it's sweet. I think it, you know, is nice. Lila does eventually get her hearing fixed, like in like 10 books, but in this book, she stays deaf for a while. A lot of the other people in the tribe also learn ASL for her, which I think is also very sweet. Also, Rokan has like these weird like psychic powers, and it's like never suggested that these people have magic powers. He just like randomly has like future sight, so I don't know, good for him, I guess. I'm putting this one in Good Barbarians because it was pretty good, not great. Next in the series is Barbarian's Taming. This is Maddie and Hassan's story. Maddie is Lila's sister. This is a controversial opinion. I really like this one. Maddie and Hassan are both shitheads. They're just shitheads. They suck. I think because of that, they work very well together. Like, they're just like a great couple. This book also has more plot than I think some of the other ones, mostly because in this book, the cave that all the barbarians live in fucking explodes. I don't know, I just thought their relationship was really fun and interesting. Maddie is also one of the stronger female heroines. Again, she hunts. She's also plus sized. This book series kind of pisses me off because like you have these like little nuggets of representation, right? You have like a deaf girl, you have a plus size girl, you have one black character, one Asian character. In a book series with 19 people, and you could only make one of them black, you could only make one of them plus sized, make it make sense. I digress. Maddie and Hassan, strong couple, love them both shitheads. I'm putting this one in Best Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian's Heart. This is Stacy and Pashov's story. It's kind of a second chance romance. Stacy and Pashov are still together. Pashov is fine. I think the whole crux of this book is that he has lost his like memory because he got like hit in the head with a rock after the cave exploded, and now he has to like rekindle his romance with Stacy, and Stacy's like you know what I mean, like she's all fucked up. There wasn't much story in this one. Mostly it's just them rekindling their romance and then also them traveling to a new location to live because again the cave exploded in the last book. Overall, this one's not my favorite. I actually think it's very weak. Stacy is super fucking boring. Like, just so, like, she's not interesting at all. So I'm putting this one in Not Very Good Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian's Hope, which is Asha and Hamalo's story. We see Asha a lot in previous books, especially Maddie and Hassan's book. And in the past, she was kind of like this depressed, bitchy character. And the whole reason why she was depressed and bitchy is because she had had like a miscarriage with Hamalo before. So this is a second chance romance. She is like mad at him, like they're mates, but she's like pissy because she is sad that she had a miscarriage and she's taking it out on him, which is whatever. The first two chapters of this were pretty good. The rest of it was ass and really boring. Basically all the character is sucked out of Asha. She stops being this like bitchy cool character and she starts being like literally every other female on the planet. The only thing that makes this one kind of interesting is that Asha and Hamalo are both born and bred blue barbarians. And I like seeing that dynamic. I think that's interesting. However, I don't think it was done very well in this book, and it was so fucking boring that I had to skip 20% of it. Like, I skipped from 70% to 90%, I skipped that bit because I was like, I just gotta finish this. This is so fucking boring. So maybe something really cool happened in that 20%, but I don't know. This one is my least favorite book in the series. I'm putting it in Worst Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian's Choice, which is Farley and Farley and Marduk's story. I really like this one. I like Farley, I like Marduk. I think they have a very interesting dynamic. Their dynamic is kind of Harlow and Rook's switched or gender swapped, because where like Harlow is, you know, the technologically advanced one. In this story, it's Marduk, and Farley is kind of like this tits out, you know, native alien on this planet who like doesn't have like Marduk literally fucking lands in a spaceship and she's like, what the fuck is that? Their dynamic was really cute. There was a lot of interesting lore that dropped in this one, because we learn about like how all the blue barbarians is actually like a race that exists outside of this planet. It's a very high-tech race. Like these people were like fucking stranded or something. So it's a cool one. I think this one is really good. I put it in good Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian's Redemption, which is Beck and Ellie's story. This might be my favorite book in the whole series. This one's really good. This one also has some very serious topics. Ellie is the first of, I think, 5 new slave women. Beck basically tells Marduk's crew, because Marduk stays on the planet obviously to stay with Farley, and his crew leaves, and Beck is like, hey, can you bring me some hot sexy female slaves so I can have a mate, because all the other women are taken. And the people are like, yeah, if you pay us. So he buys some fucking slaves. Ellie is the most traumatized of these slaves. Like she was the slave for the longest, I think like 13 years. Again, this is a very unserious series, so maybe it's like this book is not as serious as I feel like it could have been or should have been. But this one is also really cute because Ellie and Beck like develop together, because Beck is kind of a douchebag and Ellie is like really fucked up, but Beck really loves her and he wants to change for her, and she like starts to change because he loves her, and it's just so great. And then they have children, which sucks. They don't have children in this book, but they do fulfill resonance, which means she gets pregnant. Anyway, I digress. I fucking hate the pregnancy, but I get it. I know this is like a bleeding kink thing. I don't fucking know. Anyway, this one I really fucking loved. This one goes in Best Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian's Lady, which is Kate and Herek's story. What makes this one interesting is that Kate is tall, and I don't even think she's 6 foot. I think she's like 5'9" or something. So not even that tall for a woman. I don't really remember anything about this one. Herek falls in like a glacier or something, and Kate pulls him out, and then they find like a snowcat and they keep it as a pet. I don't know, that's all I remember. It wasn't very interesting. Neither Herek nor Kate really stick out to me. Herek, I think, is kind of like Ihako, where he has this like silly, goofy personality. So this one really did not stick out to me. Very forgettable. I put it in not very good Barbarians. Next up is Barbarian's Rescue, which is Summer and Warwick's story. They were cute together. The story was kind of long and not very interesting. This one does have like a plot, like there is outer conflict outside of the relationship. They're like these aliens that land, and like people get like kidnapped and they gotta like stop the spaceship from taking off, and they gotta kill the aliens or whatever. Which is like interesting, but also I didn't give a fuck. Like it was so boring. Also, like the whole thing about Warwick and Summer is that it's like an opposite attract story. So Summer is supposed to be really talkative and Warwick is supposed to be really quiet, but in reality Warwick is basically as quiet as all the other Ice Planet Barbarians, so he is not necessarily that quiet. And Summer is talkative in the way that somebody who has never met somebody who is talkative thinks somebody who is talkative talks, if you catch my drift. Like she rambles in a way that feels unnatural. But maybe that's just me being fucking picky. Anyway, this one, didn't love it, don't really remember it. I'm putting it in not very good Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian's Tease, which is Brooke and Taushen's story. I'm going to be very honest, I don't remember anything about this one. I think it was better than the last 2. I can't really remember anything. Brooke is a hairstylist and she has pink hair, and that is it. That is the only interesting thing about this book. I think Taushen is another one of these silly, goofy barbarians. So, you know, Barbarian's Tease, not very good at Barbarians. Next in the series is Barbarian's Beloved, which is Ariana and Zolaya's story. This is the first of 4 books that take place at the beginning, like right after all the girls are saved. Ruby Dixon revisits these characters and writes out their stories because their stories weren't written out originally. So these all take place like in flashbacks. I liked both Ariana and Zolaya. Zolaya, again, kind of a silly, goofy barbarian. Not very distinct from a lot of the other barbarians. Ariana is pretty interesting. What makes her special is that she has anxiety and she cries a fuck ton. I don't know how accurate the representation of anxiety is, but she's anxious. I wish Ariana was given more of a stronger role in a lot of these books because she is apparently like a historian, like she studied history in college. I think it would have been really cool to see her like kind of investigate like the planet and like learn more of the lore. I think that could have been a way that we learned more about the planet before Marduk came. But she's not given that. Anyway, this one was definitely better than the last three, but not my favorite. It was okay, not super memorable, but I thought, you know, Ariana and Zolaya were cute together. He was really supportive. I thought it was sweet. This one goes in Okay Barbarians. Next up is Barbarian Seduction, which is Marlene and Zenek's story. What makes this one interesting is that Marlene is French, and she speaks French all the fucking time. Not really, but like she kind of like drops little nuggets here and there in like weird ways. Cause I also speak French, not good French, but I do speak French. And like she'll be like, oui. Like instead of saying yes, she'll say oui. And instead of saying no, she'll say no. And it's like, people don't really do that generally, I don't think, unless you don't know a word. Right? Like, I don't know, maybe that's crazy. I'm not like fully bilingual and I've never like gone to a place where I have to speak French all the fucking time. Maybe if I was in France, I would use yes instead of oui. I don't know, but probably not. Anyway, this one is a lot of sex. The last three are a lot of sex just because they're all flashbacks, so there's nothing really interesting to expand upon. But generally, I liked Marlene, I liked Zenek, I thought they were fun together. Don't really remember much of Zenek actually, but Marlene was pretty interesting. And like there's this whole thing where like she's superstitious and blah blah blah, whatever, I don't know. It was fine. I liked it better than some of the books, but it wasn't like the best. So I'm putting this one in Okay Barbarian. The next book in the series was Barbarian's Treasure, which was Megan and Kashol's book. What makes this book very special is that Megan has a foot fetish. And as somebody who does not have a foot fetish, it made me very uncomfortable. I can handle a lot of things. I don't like feet. I don't like feet. And this book was a lot of like, I want to give you a foot rub. Please no. Please leave me alone. I just don't like it. Made me uncomfortable. If that's your jam, it's fine. Read this fucking book, you'll love it. But not for me. Also, one of the things about this book that I thought was interesting is that Megan and Kashol are basically Ariana and Zolaya redone. Megan doesn't necessarily have anxiety, but she's definitely anxious about certain things. And Kashol is like this silly goofy guy who's just there to like cheer her up. And so is Zolaya. So it's basically the same thing as Ariana and Zolaya's story, except with feet stuff. So I didn't like this one. I put it in Not Very Good Barbarians. And then finally, the final book in the series was Barbarian's Bride, which was Nora and Dagesh's story. Dagesh, I don't know. This one was okay. Dagesh is also kind of a silly, goofy guy. But I don't think he is, I don't know. Nora and Dagesh were cute together. I thought this one was kind of funny because like, the conflict in this book is that Nora is like kind of into BDSM and Dagesh is like, no, I can't, but then they do. So it's, you know, it all works out in the end. So I thought they were all right. They were definitely better than Megan and Kashol. But in this book, there was also just this one line that was like, I love his long hair and I love his disheveled looks and I love his stinky feet and, you know, all that shit. And it was supposed to be like, I love him even though he is flawed. It was supposed to be like one of those lines, but the stinky feet thing just reminded me of all the foot shit in the last book. And I was like, please, no. Anyway, this one was okay though. So I'm putting it in Okay Barbarians. And that's it. That's all of the Ice Planet Barbarians, but not Icehome. And I will get to Icehome eventually. Trust and believe. Anyway, feel free to leave your thoughts or don't. Would I recommend the series? Up to the 13th book, yes, but skip Barbarian's Hope because it's really fucking bad. Other than that, that's really all I have to say. Ruby Dixon, I respect you. I respect your craft. Please no more foot stuff. I can't handle it. And that's all. Bye.